Some relationships aren't built by blood, they're built by choice. And that's what makes the story of Ruth and Naomi so incredibly powerful. Imagine this. Naomi had lost everything. Her husband, her 2 sons, her entire sense of home. She was carrying the kind of grief that makes the world feel small and heavy. Now older, all she wanted was to return to her hometown of Bethlehem and just be alone with her loss. She turned to her daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah, both young widows themselves. She told them, "Go back to your families. You don't deserve this life of emptiness. Start over. Find happiness again." Orpah, with tears in her eyes, agreed. It was a heartbreaking but understandable choice. But Ruth didn't move. She stood completely still. Something inside her refused to walk away. Maybe it was deep love. Maybe it was fierce loyalty. Or maybe she saw a woman who had carried everyone else for so long and knew, in her soul, that it was time for someone to carry her. So Ruth spoke the words that would echo through history. "Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." In that moment, Ruth wasn't choosing an easy path. She wasn't chasing comfort. She was choosing commitment. The kind of stubborn, beautiful commitment that shows up when everything else has fallen apart. And so, they began their journey together to widows, vulnerable, with no status and no security, starting over from absolutely nothing. Once they arrived in Bethlehem, life was anything but easy. To keep them both alive, Ruth went to work in the fields. She followed behind the harvesters, picking up the leftover grain that they had missed. Imagine the long days under a hot sun, the aching back, the tired feet. But her spirit, her loyalty to Naomi, never wavered. Her heart stayed steady. And that's when a man named Boaz noticed her. He didn't notice her because she was famous or wealthy or trying to get attention. He noticed her because her character was different. Her loyalty was quiet, strong, and real. He saw how she cared for Naomi, and it moved him. Boaz went out of his way to protect her. He made sure she was safe in his fields and had more than enough to eat. He instructed his workers to leave extra grain behind just for her. Slowly, piece by piece, the empty life Ruth and Naomi had been living began to fill up again with kindness, with security, with hope. This kindness blossomed into love, and eventually Ruth married Boaz. They had a son. And Naomi, the woman who once believed her life was over, who said she should be called bitter, held that baby boy in her arms like hope itself had returned. But the story doesn't end there. Here's the part that gives me chills. What they couldn't have known at the time was that their baby, Obed, would become the grandfather of the great King David. And through David's line, thousands of years later, came Jesus. An entire future. A story of global redemption was born from one woman's decision to stay loyal in a moment of despair. Ruth's story teaches us something so simple yet so profound. You never know what incredible doors will open when you choose to be faithful, especially in the hard moments. When you choose people over convenience. When you choose love over fear. When you choose to stand with someone in their darkest season. Sometimes the greatest new beginnings grow from a simple, powerful decision to not walk away. Thanks so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content like this. See you in the next video.